Good day to each and everyone, especially to our instructor, Sir Jacob. Sir, good day. In this chapter, we will discuss all about the comprehensive scope of peace education. In the previous chapter, gidiscuss nila kung ano nga ba ang peace education. Peace, or what do you mean by peace? So in this chapter, we will discuss the comprehensive scope of peace education, which means a comprehensive study or an involving or something relevant in the peace education. Peace education is comprised of many themes and forms that have involved in various parts of the world. It reflects the growth of progressive education and social movement in the last 5 decades. So in this chapter, we will discuss all about peace education, kung ano ang kasaysayan or bakit kailangan ang peace education. In order for us to have a peace in our society or in the community, we should also have a peace education which calms our mind to see our future path much clearer and help us to track our goal in our life. And the following here is the various form or facet of peace education practice. These are the disarmament education, human rights education, global education, conflict resolution education, multicultural education, gender fair education, development education, and lastly, the environment education. The first one here is the disarmament education, which means the reduction or withdrawal of military forces and weapons. So, ang disarmament education na i-involve siya sa military and the weapons. The beginning of this disarmament education was after the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the Cold War-inspired arms race, which involved at first as a reaction to the threat of nuclear weapons. In the later years, the disarmament education included other weaponry such as biological weapon and chemical weapon. They are called of mass destruction or WMD because of the large scale of indiscriminate destruction that result from them. In recent years, the proliferation of misuse of small arms and light weapons have become the concern of disarmament education. So when we say biological weapon and chemical weapon, this is a harmful substances that are delivered from the enemy or for the enemy. So have you remember yung dati natin or dating kasaysayan ng mga Pilipino na kung saan ang may karapatan lamang mag-aral ay yung may mga matataas na estado sa buhay. At binabantayan no ng mga gwardiya or mga guardian ng mga Espanyol na may daladalang mga harmful or let us say may mga daladalang armas na kung saan ginagamit nila pagbabantay, na kung saan ang may mga kakayahan lang or pwede lang mag-aral ay yung may matataas na estado sa buhay. At yun yung pinaglalaban nating mga Pilipino dati. The weapon of mass destruction or the WMD, which means the radiological, chemical, biological, or the other devices that intended to harm a large number of people with the use of these disarmaments or the withdrawal of military forces or with the use of these weapons, which intended to harm the large number of people in that one society or the community. Later on, the Philippine Action Network on Small Arms or the PhilANSA was discovered to at least listen up or to help as Filipinos na makaahon from that disarmament. An important goal of disarmament education is to educate and to campaign against armed proliferation because it fuels armed conflict and draws resources away from the basic need of people. The next one is the human rights education or karapatan natin bilang isang tao sa pag-aaral. In the year of 1948, the proclamation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights or na ideklara ang karapatang pangtao natin. And also the educational movement was called human rights education. Sa panahong nailathala or naitatag ang karapatan natin bilang tao, ay naitatag din or naideklara rin ang ating karapatan bilang isang tao na mag-aral or makapag-aral. According to Better Reardon in the year of 1995, he definitely notes that the human rights education definitely contributes to peace, the enjoyment of the fundamental human rights and freedoms by the people provided the foundation for a nonviolent social order. She specifically notes that we Filipinos or we as a human have a freedom to live and freedom to have a right of education. And also, according to Flowers in the year of 1998, human right education is how we teach is what we teach. Or kung paano tayo magturo, ay yun ang naituturo natin. Or let us say, yung way or method ng pagtuturo mo is naiiba, yun din yung way na parang naiiganyo yung mga nakikinig sa'yo na makinig palalo dahil sa pagtuturo mo. Pero kasabay ng pagdeklara ng human rights education is nailathala or nalathalaan din ang Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women and the Convention on the Rights of the Child, na kung saan ang mga babae ay may karapatan ng mamahala at ang mga bata ay naibibigay na yung karapatan nila bilang bata or bilang isang tao o bilang isang bata na nabubuhay sa isang komunidad or sa isang society. Human rights education also includes the concept of mutuality of rights and responsibility, which means involved in the human rights education in the rights of the individual or responsibilities of an individual in that one society or in that one community. The next one here is the global education. According to Fresh in the year 1990, global education is defined as all programs, projects, studies, and activities that can help an individual learn and care more about the world beyond his or her community, to transcend his or her culturally conditioned, ethnocentric perspective, perception, and behavior. So when we say global education or pangkalahatan or ang pangkalahatang pag-aaral, ang basic example lamang nito ay ang universal language natin na English, na kung saan pangkalahatang lingwahe na yun na kahit saan ka mapunta ay nagagamit ito in order for us to communicate with our other people in the other country, and also to understand the culture of individual and its differences, which which seek to improve global human development based on the understanding of global dynamics and also the ethnocentric perspective of an individual. It's not all about uh, ethnic group of an individual. Hindi yun nababase or naaayon kung saan ethnic ka nanggagaling, kung anong tribu ka nanggagaling, but it's all about global education or pangkalahatang pag-aaral. The Philippine Council for Peace and Global Education defines global education in its mandate brochure as education for responsible participation in an independent world community. It enumerates three key themes and perspectives: the global education of human value-centered, global education of world-oriented, and lastly is the global education of future-oriented. Global education is human value-centered. It affirms the core value and universal principle of the worth and dignity of human. So, sa value-oriented is napapaloob na dito ang dignidad natin bilang isang tao, na kung saan napapaloob sa global education. The next one is global education is world-oriented or ang global education ay organisado. And lastly is global education is future-oriented. It is a concern with the creation of a fit for future, which meant para sa mga susunod na tatahak or the new generation or the susunod na mag-aaral or susunod pang proyekto or mga research all about in the global education.